Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Foals record, What Went Down. Foals are an indie pop and rock outfit from the UK, whose music I haven't really been that into since their dance punk days when they came out with their full-length debut record. And since the release of that album, the band suddenly transitioned into a much more mellow, shimmering sound, which the band seems to have taken to because they've stuck pretty passionately to it since the release of Total Life Forever, although it hasn't really done too much for me. And in regards to their last full-length album, Holy Fire, while I don't recall liking that record, and I went back to my review and saw that I was pretty indifferent to the album overall, I could barely recall a single song from it. So, I don't know. I mean, I really enjoyed their debut. I really did. And I feel like somewhere in there, the same lively, energetic, exciting band has got to be hidden inside of the atmosphere, inside just the dreary, downtrodden, but kind of danceable sound that they're delivering on their recent records. That same group has to be in there somewhere. And on the surface, there's really nothing too strange or unusual about this album for Foals. It's a 10-track record. It runs about 49 minutes. And their sound on this album isn't really overhauled or anything like that. The band is still delivering music with this kind of laid back and mellow and chill and somewhat moody vibe to it, but the instrumentation is very tight. There are very clean, moody vocals on a lot of these songs, shimmering, echoed guitar leads, some very warm, resonant bass lines, and bustling drums. And a lot of the songs on this record are pretty drawn out. Not a single track here is under 4 minutes in length. Foals definitely take their time with a lot of these songs. But the first track on this album, though, presents a pretty big change. It's easily one of the heaviest, most thrilling, and explosive songs Foals have released in a long time. The guitar riffs on this thing are crushing! The driving guitars and the thick bass and even the vocals really turned it up a few notches, and it was just thrilling. It was a straightforward rock song with a lot of weight to it. Reminded me a lot of Queens of the Stone Age a little bit. Really, it's the first third of this record where I think Foals bring quite a bit of bite to the table. Even some of the more easygoing songs in the first third of this record have some edge to them. The second track in the track listing here is much prettier, much smoother than the opener, but the vocals still bring quite a bit of fire in the verses, and there's a sharp chorus on this track too. Foals are writing more upbeat songs on this album, and I like it. And there was a nice pre-chorus build in the second half of this track too. There's some good structures here, and I like the very chilly and nocturnal instrumental on the song Birch Tree too. The way the bustling drums and the pulsating synthesizers build the track up toward its finish is really nice. In the second half of this record, the song Snake Oil has some more heavy riffs that read a little bit like something Tom Morello would do, but not like Rage Against the Machine era Tom Morello, more like Audioslave era Tom Morello. And the song Night Swimmers, with its drums and bass, has a really sharp groove as well, but around the midpoint of this record, I feel like Foals' dull tendencies tend to get the better of them and start taking over these tracks. At the start, it's just kind of like a great, hot, steamy bath that just gets colder and colder and colder as the album moves along. I would say by the middle of the record it's pretty lukewarm, especially by the time the song Albatross rolls into town. The band starts delivering tracks that could have interchangeably worked on their past two records, which I didn't really care for. And the end of the album, I think Foals actually start delivering some of their least interesting tracks. The song London Thunder, the most understated track in the track listing here, has no strong flavor to it, no real bold or memorable anything. And I'm not really sure if the band consciously tried to sound like Coldplay as much as they actually do on the closing track here. It literally sounds like a Coldplay song. It's a Coldplay song, just like Foals kind of doing their own take on what they think would be a Coldplay song. Although I will give them props for the song Lonely Hunter, which I think has one of the sharpest melodies on the entire record. I understand why some people might be excited about this record. A few tracks here do bring a pretty bold and exciting and interesting change of pace for Foals, but that change of pace, that experimentation, that venturing out into just different territory doesn't last for not even half of the record. It's really just a handful of standout songs where it seems like Foals take a few loud and in-your-face risks, and they pay off. But a bulk of this album just kind of feels like Foals as usual as far as their last two records go, while the finishing tracks are some of their most drab songs yet. I mean, even iTunes was selling this as their heaviest album yet, which, I mean, yeah, if you only listen to the first two songs. The rest of it just kind of seems like Foals as usual, and the band is kind of just folding their arms and refusing to progress or mature or experiment or advance in any kind of significant way. I'm feeling a light to decent 5 on this thing. Transition. Have you given this record a listen? If you have, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Foals Forever.